Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 40 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and now topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. To catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice, listed in the description below. I'm your host, GM, Overseer, and Plague Bringer of Podcast of Five Rings this week, Obsidian. By the way, we're recording this on Sunday because, if you can't tell by my voice, probably I've had the flu all week, so there you go.
Plague bringer, indeed.
Yep, and Meta was also not feeling well on Thursday. So we're recording this on Sunday, and ended up behooving us a little bit because of our first topic, but we'll get to that in a second. That was The Wall That Will Not Fall, Tetsuo.
Wow.
Meta's not with us because he had plans and didn't see the memo that we decided to segue to Sunday. So instead, it's just me, him, and the resident wildcard Mal.
Yep.
So I've been laying in bed all week. What have you guys been doing?
I had been waiting all week for Monster Hunter, and then it came out, and then I've been playing it all week, since then.
Yeah, it's been prepping for it, and then Friday. Since then, I think I took a break. I think I took a break to sleep once, and then now I'm here. So beyond that, it's been Monster Hunter. Yeah,
we're just existing in some kind of nebulous cloud halfway between reality and killing virtual dinosaurs and recording a podcast. So on that note, I mean, let's just get straight into the topic because I think we all want to talk about our impressions of Monster Hunter World. So you start us off, Mal.
Yeah, all right. I took Friday off so I could play it. I think it's great. I mean, it's Monster Hunter's first foray back onto console since
the Wii.
I think it was the Wii was the last one with 3.
Yeah. Monster Hunter Tri.
Yeah, which this is
Wii
the
U.
fifth.
Wii U, actually.
Wii U.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was the Wii U.
So yeah, it's been a little while. They've streamlined some stuff, but it's still mostly you just hunt large monsters and kill them for their parts, and then make stuff out of their parts, and then you kill some more.
The grind, baby.
Bigger monsters.
It's all about the grind.
After talking about grinding all that, now we're playing a game that's basically all grinding.
Yeah, but this is fun grinding.
Right.
There always is, granted, to be fair, it's a bit of a thin veneer of a story that laces everything together. But at the same time, they're pretty good, and I'm actually pretty interested to see what's going to happen through this story so far.
There's a little bit more story in this one than before. Like, I think the last, like in Generations, there's like 4 towns with 4. There's like 4. What are they called?
Factions?
No, like
Underarms.
No, the monsters, the special monsters. What do they call them? Like, I'm blanking on the term. Just like the thing that represents that title. Anywho, like featured monsters or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
There were 4. Yeah, so you just go around to the villages, kind of like, helping them out, and each one has a special monster. This one is there's a bit of a mystery. Like, you're traveling over to this new continent, and elder dragons like travel over every 10 years, I think they say in the start. And so there's like some mysteries to why all of this is happening.
The funniest thing I found about the story in the game is that the characters' names are just whatever they are. Like, I am the leader. I am the the hunt. The hunt master.
The commander, the second fleet commander, third fleet leader. Yeah.
They don't have actual names, which is just funny.
The main commander dude is voiced by Seijiro from Persona 5 in English.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I've been playing it in Japanese. So.
Yeah, I have too. So yeah, I mean, it's
flagship monster. That was the term we were looking for.
Flagship.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was delayed.
For some reason, I was thinking titular monster, but I'm like, there's never one. Why am I thinking that? So yeah, they're doing some stuff with story. I haven't played a lot of the old games, so as I understand, there almost like was no story,
Pretty much.
really.
I mean, yeah, 4U had a pretty interesting story with Gore Magala and whatever its evolved form is called. That was a pretty cool story. But beyond that, I mean, again, there is one, but there isn't. It's kind of just gives you an excuse to go out and fight things. But this really feels like you're having a reason to go out. So.
Yep, it seems to be all tied into the Elder Dragons and stuff like that. At least so far.
Each story mission is like you know, completing a thing so that you can like go to the next area to search for this, you know, the solution to the mystery, or something came up so you have to deal with it, and then you can keep on going.
Mm-hmm. So you guys are more, again, well versed in some of like the old games compared to this one. As I understand it, just watching reviews, people were talking about a lot of quality of life changes and stuff. Like, what's some of the big stuff you guys noticed? Like, they said they did a lot to help it feel more accessible to new players.
Well, the two biggest ones, at least for me, is whetstones and mining axes are now infinite. It used to be you had to make
catcher nets and fish. Or, yeah.
Well, the bait is still, but your rod is. So it used to be you had to make a whetstone, and a whetstone you could use, I think, 3 or 5 times, and then it got destroyed, and you had to make another whetstone. Anytime you wanted to do any type of mining, you had to have an axe, and there was always a chance it would break.
Or bug catching, same thing.
So now you're just assumed to always have one on you. It makes it a lot easier and a lot nicer. One inconsistency that I found with that, though, they kept the Mal, do you remember the whetstone fish?
Yeah, well, it whetstones more, but is, you know, it gives more back, so it's probably more helpful later on in the game.
Gotcha. Okay, I missed that part. Then I was like,
yeah, it says it in the description.
Then somehow, so those are the two main ones for me.
Yeah, I really like the bounty system that they have now, because before there'd be I mean, they've still got some optional quests that are like kill a bunch of small animals or something, but there used to be stuff like, you know, find a certain, or, you know, fish up a certain fish, or collect so much of a certain bug or something. And now you can, like, they sort of have that now as bounties systems, where like you can set so many, and like it'll just, as you do quests or excavation or whatever explorations, it'll you can complete them during that.
Yeah, that makes things a lot easier. Another one that I know a lot of people hated that Mal and I worked through last night is the old egg quests. You used to be, you got really slowed down. You couldn't do you couldn't even run for a distance, or else you dropped the egg. Now you can run, you can roll, you can do a lot of things that you used to not be able to do. And it makes them a little easier, but in exchange for it, like, some of the monsters you have to take an egg from are a little more difficult.
Yeah, well, you also used to like get screwed over if you were like drinking. You couldn't move when you drank a potion in the old games, right? You had to just stand there.
Yep.
And you had to wait for the full flexing animation.
Yeah. Some people don't like that sort of change. I'm for it.
Yeah,
I am too. I find it hard enough to sometimes drink a potion without getting crushed. Sometimes.
Right. That's the point. Like, people have for keeping it the way it used to be. They want it to be difficult.
But I don't know. Like, there's a difference between making it difficult that's fun, and making it difficult that's just.
Well, I mean, I guess it's fun for those people.
You know? Well,
it's all about finding the correct time when you're not going to get attacked, right?
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, I don't know.
I
don't have a problem.
Speed while doing it.
Yeah. I just don't have a problem with them as a company doing what they need to reach out to the West, because honestly, Monster Hunter needs more recognition in the West here. It really does.
and it seems to be doing really well. I mean, people have been reviewing the game.
Oh yeah,
Like it's gotten good
amazing
reviews. The PSN servers have been like malfunctioning all weekend. I think just because of it and Dragon Ball. So
Actually, I was looking up online about that. Actually, it's totally unrelated.
Really,
it just happens to be the weekend that Dragon
two
Ball
big games released.
So they were having. It wouldn't have been too big of a deal, except for the fact that that load has made them worse.
Yeah,
is what I was reading. So
yeah, they also you can now join people in story quests, although you still have to wait for like a cutscene to trigger.
yeah, it's kind of annoying.
But I mean, in previous titles, you couldn't do it at all.
Yeah,
once they were on a mission, they were on a mission, and you couldn't join.
Yeah, it's just an annoyance more than anything.
I mean, and outside of story quests, now you've got like drop-in co-op as well. Like that works all the time.
Yeah,
good.
It feels pretty good. We haven't really like when we were playing. I haven't like noticed any weird issues going on with the online stuff. Everyone seems to be like working well. We don't really get lag or anything. I mean, you drop frames every once in a while, but I mean, it's just any game.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I mean, yeah, we're on normal PlayStation, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Only issue I had with the multiplayer was I answered an SOS flag, and it was 3 heavy gunners for Anjanath, and they kept blowing me up as I'm trying to attack the stupid dinosaur and save their butt. So, but that's more player thing than actually the service. So
yeah, I got killed after 45 minutes of fighting Anjanath this morning. So
a purple T-Rex.
Yep, right when he was about, I had him limping too. He kept killing me and then sleeping and getting his health back. And
the only problem I have with him is trying to whetstone up playing against him on my own.
Yeah, that's another like small nitpick. I really love the game. I do have some nitpicks with it, but that's what they are all. They're just like little nitpicks. Like I just hate like how the monsters track you sometimes with their attacks.
Oh yeah.
Like they just home in, especially hit him and the guy before him more than anything. The electric lizard thing. Do what?
Oh, Tokidachi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what you gotta do. You gotta learn where your iframes are on your dodges. Because so, in addition to the roll, and you press your roll, you actually do a Superman dive, and for most of that time, you're invulnerable. And if you stay on the ground, you have iframes as well. You don't have to immediately get up.
Yeah, if something's attacking you, it's like really on you, and you get knocked down. Just don't get up until it, stops.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know that.
Attacks. Yeah,
because it's kind of in that interesting weird area where at one point it is kind of like Dark Souls, but in Dark Souls, if you're on the ground, they're going to still be able to hit you and do damage. Whereas in this case, sometimes that's a viable strategy for the iframes. So it's kind of learning and getting a feel for when your iframes are for your character for different motions.
Yep. So what do you guys feel about the weapon suite? I know it's like the same stuff as normal, but do you like the changes they made compared to some of the old stuff?
So for the Charge Blade, they took the good stuff that they did in 4 and 4 Ultimate, and then they did some edits to it in Cross and Double Cross, and so they took the good of that and the good of 4U and kind of combined it together. So the Charge Blade now is just, it is so nice. I love playing the Charge Blade. It is so much fun. So.
Yeah, I've been playing quite a few different weapons. They all I mean, in this one, like, I want to play so many of them. Like, they made all the weapons super appealing.
Yeah, honestly. They did. A lot of them look cool. Tets and I were talking about this yesterday when we were on Discord. I just know, and it's already happening. I'm just zeroing in on, there's all this gear. I want to keep fighting the same monsters and get all the armor pieces. I did some more of that this morning on my own too, just to like hunt down some bone piles to complete the bone set, to get the armor with the lightning resistance. You need some pieces of bones for that. I just want to collect all the armor and eventually upgrade it and play around with it and see what looks cool and like what all works together. That's like
There's a bunch.
my favorite part so far. That and just playing with you guys and people online and stuff.
Yeah, there's quite a few armor sets that just I think look so cool, and like I can't obviously wear all of these, but
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that similar to the weapons, most armor is viable within certain situations, and because you kind of know what you're walking into with each mission, you can
yeah,
choose.
they have it so you can actually make loadouts, right? So you can quick switch through them. So
Yep. So it makes me happy that you don't have to worry about creating something and then once you get to a certain point, it's just sitting there and has absolutely no use.
all armor's viable if you can just dodge everything.
That's true too.
Exactly. Who cares about defense or resist or anything? All attack power. Every piece of armor.
That's why I've been rocking the bone armor with the exception of Anjanath fan braces.
I cannot dodge everything, so I'm playing. This morning I switched to the highest defensive armor I could find. And it makes a difference.
I've also learned with a lot of the bigger monsters, if you just stand underneath them, it's a lot safer than standing a little bit in front of them. I don't know how viable that is for Greatsword, but with Chargeblade, it's a pretty viable strategy. Viable enough.
Yeah. Greatsword is... I love playing Greatsword. It's still my favorite to play so far. But, man, I gotta get better at it, though. The monsters that really hit hard, it's punishing if you whiff. If they're quick and they hit hard, I didn't even want to go fight the Anjanath one-on-one with that thing. I fought the Tobaru lizard before that. I did my first mission failure on him just because that thing was so freaking slow and he just constantly moves around you in circles and does the jump attack and dive that'll basically one-shot you. And he has the little stuns, so I was like, alright, I just have to have something that's quick. And then I didn't have any problems with him when I went to sword board, which I'm also really enjoying, so to go go back to weapons, those are probably my two favorite.
Yeah, I kind of want to play Sword and Board just because they added the slinger and it's pretty fun to use.
Yeah, you've been using the slinger a lot. Every time we finish a mission, it's Mal is targeted 25 locations with the slinger or something like that.
Yeah.
You just see him back shooting it.
And the Sword and Board can do it while it's...
while it has the...
while it's out. Or while you have it unsheathed. You can still use your little wrist crossbow slinger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because there's all sorts of items you can make for it, like flash bombs and screamers and
poison stuff.
Yep.
And then oftentimes if you stun a monster, they'll drop something that you can then pick up and use as well. So that's pretty much what I use it almost entirely with.
They'll drop stuff you can use against them?
Yeah, there'll be little glowing red bits that fall off of them.
I've
not seen those.
Yep. So you pick them up, and a lot of times they're the same old pods that you you can craft or whatever. They're just in the raw form. And depending on the monster, they'll drop different kinds. Like Anjanath tends to drop piercing, but he'll sometimes drop the bomb pods. Almost always drops bomb. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the game is great. It feels great to play on controller. That's mainly why I didn't play a lot of Monster Hunter 4.
Yeah, 3DS was hard.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful, too. The graphics are really good. The world looks great.
I love the maps are much bigger and they're seamless, which I love. Not having to go through a loading screen every so often. Or getting hit out of a loading screen.
I was going to say, Tetsuo will never keep bouncing me out of the room ever again.
Oh my god, that sounds awful.
Yeah, could be pretty bad.
And the monster designs are all really good. I like how the monsters, the little ones, interact with each other. They'll travel in herds. They'll go to the same spots. Some of them won't, outright attack you. When you down a monster, you'll see, the little Jagresses come and, swarm them and start attacking them, get in the way. When I was fighting the Anganath earlier, I was trying to get on its head, and I got bulldozed by, 3 of those little things going after it. I completely missed, my window to just well on his head while he was down on the ground.
I'm
I was
really
gonna
hoping.
I love the way they react and they feel like a seamless part of the world too, like a living environment that's going on that you're like treading
Yeah,
through.
they've designed it from the ground up that you're supposed to feel like this is a living, breathing ecosystem. Going back to talking about like the bug nets, you can catch like all of the small birds, all of the small like bugs and stuff. For the most part, you can catch them with your net and take them back to base. And once you get to a certain point, you can actually let them go in your room, so that way you can have like different bugs and birds and stuff that you've caught.
Yeah, I believe the third room has like 3 pages of pet slots.
Oh, really? That
Yeah.
makes me happy.
Pets.
But I do hope that I'm looking forward to possibly them expanding the roster with a bunch of returning monsters, because I'm a little upset. Like almost all of the monsters are like reptilian based.
I'd like to see some more designs.
Variety there.
Yeah.
Well, my 2 favorite monsters, I really hope show up. Barioth and Nargacuga. They pretty much are a dragon saber-toothed tiger and a dragon panther, respectively. Like, I would love to see more stuff like that.
Yeah, we already know one monster is in DLC coming up.
Yeah, Devil Joe.
Yeah.
And we're getting Ryu and Sakura DLC.
Yeah, I saw that today.
I saw Ryu running around with a hammer.
They got
They get costumes for Street Fighter 5, I believe.
Yep.
I'm interesting to see all the DLC we'll get. Like before they did Shonen Jump, like One Piece, and then Yu-Gi-Oh, and
I want to know where my Mega Man DLC that they kept talking about is, because they were building that up. I want to dress up.
They
like
announced
Metallica
it. I just don't remember if they announced the date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to fight robot master dinosaurs. Give it to me, Capcom. Give it
That's
to
just
me.
called That's just called Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh yeah,
my
there you go.
Palico is currently a little robot dinosaur.
Mine's just wearing a
I
plate.
still need to do that mission to get that gear. I forgot.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm ready to go play more of it already.
yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. If you own a PS4, Xbox One,
PC.
if you got PC later in the year, and you got buddies to play it with who also have the game, I can't recommend it enough. It's one of the funnest multiplayer games I've played in a long time. Just like hanging with buddies and co-oping and killing giant dinosaurs. It's a great time. It's a great time. I know it's only January, but game of the year? No.
Yep.
I mean, I don't have anything on the
I don't know what
horizon
else is coming.
to know of for a while. So it's my game of the year for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 3? Nah.
It may be if it comes out.
Yeah. That's a big if there, Mal. Yeah, it's weird. We got a giant window, whereas literally this
Not
time
like
last
last
year,
year.
I think was when Horizon came out. No, it came out in a few
February.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it
this For Honor came out, and that's when it just started snowballing from there, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Well, because we got a whole new console too last year.
and hey, Dragon Ball Fighters is also really good. I spent, you guys are way ahead of me, Monster Hunter now, because I spent like 10 hours playing that yesterday.
Well, that's what you get for playing an inferior
I
game.
did hear it was pretty good.
It's really freaking good. It's just talking about games that are accessible. I mean, fighting games are often what we think of when we think of a game that is accessible, because it has such a huge learning curves usually if you want to like be good at the game in quotes. And it's a very easy game to pick up and play. That's what I'll say about it so far. I'll probably actually end up buying it. So, and just look, it's also just really pretty. And Android 21 is the waifu. So there you go.
Is she more waifu than the researcher from Monster Hunter Worlds? I mean,
Oh yeah, she's way more waifu than her. She's got a pink skin and she turns you into a cookie and eats you. If that ain't waifu, I don't know what is. Also, nerf Black Goku. But anyways, let's get on to your topic, Tets. What do you got for us today?
well, as I said, when I was before the game released, I was prepping myself, watching movies about giant dinosaur-like monster things. Bella, watch that. which I think we talked about 2 weeks ago.
How'd you like his googly eye stare in that one thing that uses the thumbnail for our episode?
It worked so well, but my wife noped out of there so fast when it actually nope, I just left the finger.
Just because she didn't like the way it looked, or because...
Well, yeah, but she also wasn't watching the movie really with me.
Yeah, she was just like...
more like I was watching it and she was in the room. She's just like, nope.
Nope, not dealing.
But no, so after I watched that, I think on Tuesday, I ended up watching Godzilla Planet of the Monsters, I think it's computer animated film that's on. It came out on Netflix on the 17th, I think it was. So I was a little bit behind watching it, but yeah, it was really good. I don't know which one I enjoyed more. Them both in their own ways. Godzilla Planet of the Monsters.
Oh, dude, it's Gen Urobuchi wrote the screenplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy who did Madoka.
Evangelion.
No, that's the guy who did Shin Godzilla. Is the guy who wrote who was worked for Gainax.
Yeah. Enough similarities. I keep throwing things together. You're right.
It's all good.
It doesn't help that again I watched them right after the other two, days apart. But anyway, but Planet of the Monsters is very. It does a good job of Godzilla the anime without it being all anime-ified, if that makes sense. I don't know that really did. So
it's the aesthetic, but not the tropes, basically.
Yeah, I mean, some of the tropes are there, but it's much more in line with Godzilla tropes than it is in line with regular anime tropes.
Yeah, gotcha.
They did get permission from Toho to totally disregard all previous Godzilla movies and start their own universe with this. So it's going to be a 3-part series. This is the first movie. I don't think they've mentioned when the second one's supposed to come out yet. Because they're working on it still. Monsters started appearing and destroying cities, and then Godzilla showed up and started destroying humans and monsters alike, and to fight them, but we couldn't. Excuse me, sorry. With the Godzilla movies, you had 2 different alien species that came to Earth around this time, and they help us to develop space travel. So we fled Earth, and eventually the humanity realized there's no real planets for them out in space. We should return to Earth and just retake it from Godzilla. So they come back to deal with a planet of monsters, and that's more or less the plot of it. They return to the Earth and they're trying to track down Godzilla and they're trying to take him down. As I said, it has a lot of that anime aesthetic. They went to space. You have mechanized work, like exosuits type deal to fight Godzilla with them and stuff. But it's very much Godzilla as opposed to anime.
So is it just them versus Godzilla the whole movie, or do any actual movie monsters show up?
No other monsters show up in this one.
Hints of Adam at the future, probably.
Say again.
Are there hints towards any of the future movies of them showing up?
And cause the other thing is, it does a good job with a couple twists that I don't want to spoil or anything, but the last minutes are just amazingly well done to set you up for the next movie and get you so hyped for the next movie, and then you're like, crap.
Knowing how just looking at it, it looks like the movie came out in Japan beforehand and then was put onto Netflix. Yeah, it'll probably be sometime this year. I think they normally write all those and they just stagger the releases. It's like the Lord of the Rings thing, so it'll probably be fairly soon.
But they are still working on the next movie as well. So it may be written, but I know they're still working on the animation stuff. So But yeah, it was good. It was very enjoyable. I recommend it. If you're a fan of Godzilla, and if you're not, I still say give it a shot, especially if you like anime, because of those itches.
Like, what are
in
some of
its
the
own
big,
way.
like, cool fight set pieces in it? To, like, get
Um,
someone interested who might be, like, I don't know, not know a lot about Godzilla, but might like mecha anime or something like you were kind of hinting at.
so when they return to the planet, do you have Godzilla and all the monsters, but you also have how life has kind of evolved in their own ways, and there's these almost like, I guess, kind of like wyverns. They're like a little bit larger than a person, think eyes, but looking like kind of dragon-like pterodactyl-y thingies.
Hmm.
And there's one scene where a whole bunch of those swarm one of the base camps after they have touched down, and so you have people, scrambling around trying to get everything together to fight these things off. And so there's definitely a scene where they're getting back into one of the drop ships to, just get defensive positions, and these things start breaking in and start like crawling through the vents and everything. They're not vents, but hallways and stuff.
Hmm.
Chasing after people, and so they have to pull out flamethrowers and machine guns, and all that kind of stuff, while outside people are trying to jump into the actual mechanized suits to fight them off. So that was pretty cool. Another big fight scene is in towards the middle of the movie, where they're trying to figure out how to stop Godzilla, because that's the biggest thing, is that they're back to hunting giant monsters. They're having to track him down, figure out his weaknesses, and just get him locked in and defeated. And so there's definitely this scene where they're building up this ravine, and they're building up all these plans, and everything's going well until it doesn't, and then everything falls to shit.
Hmm.
And it's like one bad thing after another. But it also highlights like the human tenacity to F and G, and then you still figure out what to do when everything goes to pot. So that was really cool. If you want to know about some of the mechanized stuff that they have as well, they totally have hover bikes that fly into high altitude, high atmosphere.
We're not quite at
hover bikes, so
Gundam
it's
level.
really awesome. Yeah, not quite at Gundam level, but there was a really cool scene where they had like the different squadrons of the hover bikes just like flying circles, kind of doing pot shots at Godzilla, trying to keep him distracted. That was a really cool scene.
Gotcha.
It looks like the sequel is scheduled to come out in May of this year
Oh, May, that's soon.
and features Mecha Godzilla.
Yep. Yeah, he's mentioned and is kind of a semi-major plot point in the first movie, because the two alien groups that this is in the first couple minutes, so mild spoilers, come to Earth about the same time that Godzilla arrives. One of them promises to help them defeat Godzilla with their Mechagodzilla tech. And unfortunately, right before they're about to activate Mechagodzilla, Godzilla shows up and stops them from
Wrecks
activating.
everything.
Yeah, and he stops them from activating it, and they have to flee the facility. While they were going, when they returned to the planet and everything, they kept kind of like coming back to, if only Mechagodzilla had worked, and I wonder if we can find Mechagodzilla, and all those sorts of things. So I think it's going to be, they're going to revive it, and
Hmm.
chaos will ensue.
And then the third one, King Kong will show up. No, it's that.
I really
That was more of an American movie, wasn't it? I can't remember. I don't think I ever.
Well, no,
I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
versus King Kong. There is a Godzilla versus King Kong.
Oh yeah, I
It
know.
is- yeah.
I mean, the original King Kong, I believe, is American.
It is. It is.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember if that was American made or Japanese.
Let's
Like they had to obviously ask the Japanese to use the Godzilla, like Toho or whatever.
see. Nope, definitely Japanese.
So did you watch the dub or the sub for it?
I watched it in sub, or a dub. Excuse me.
Okay.
I watched it dub, so it was pretty good. The voice actors.
So
were pretty on
Funimation
point.
dubbed it. I'm trying to look. These seem like some Funimation people, but I'm probably wrong.
Because Funimation dubbed Shin, so I don't think they dubbed
No,
this.
they have their own like
Yeah.
online service too. It wouldn't be on Netflix.
Because-
I think it was just a Netflix independent thing.
I recognized like some of the voices, but
Oh,
when
I
looked
recognize
them
a
up
few.
online- yeah, when I looked them up online, they were like from stuff that I wasn't expecting them to be from. If that makes sense.
Prompto.
Yeah. That's
exactly.
what I was like. I
Like-
see Rachel Chase, Prince Noctis himself,
Yeah.
and Robbie Draymond is Prompto. Those were the two. I mean, I recognize Jameson Price and Christina V was Velvet and Tales of Berseria.
Ah.
Jameson Price has been in stuff. He's the deep voice guy, as I know him, and all the random anime and video games that he's in. But yeah, I'm going to spare you the FF15 rant this week.
time.
I was waiting to go. I wonder if Mal is going to notice Robbie Draymond or Ray Chase on here from Final Fantasy 15 and say anything.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I'd only just been pulling it up.
Yeah, Robbie Draymond's getting a lot of work lately. He's in lots of stuff now.
Yup.
So yeah, that's cool, man. I wonder when the next one will be out on Netflix. Did they say? I think May is probably just the release in theaters, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah. So if it follows the same way, it'll probably be July then, because it was 2 months after releasing in Japan that it released
That's
on
not bad.
Netflix.
No,
Yeah,
it's not at all. Gojira Kessen Kido Zosho Kutoshi. Or Battle Mobile Breeding City.
What else does Polygon do? Let's see. Oh, they do Anjin.
Anjin. That's the Gaijin.
Oh yeah. The
Ajin
It's on
is the
Netflix.
other. It's on Netflix. It's weird. It's got a weird animation style, but I guess.
yeah, that's kind of the same animation style. Yeah.
I haven't heard anyone talk about that. Really?
I have a friend
It's
who
also
was
the
really into
same.
it. And Knights of Sidonia. Like,
Yep.
Okay, I know that.
does Netflix just get all of these guys' stuff?
I'm guessing. maybe,
They
or at
probably
least
have
did
some
it
deal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Knights of Sidonia is the main one that I had recognized them from,
Yeah.
and it is that same kind of
Yeah,
animation
it's
style.
3D
so-
CG is what it's labeled as.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Anime-y.
Well, it's good that you thought it looked good. A lot of the complaints people have about that is that it doesn't really like seamlessly blend a lot of times, especially in, like when they were first like getting around to using lots of 3D models, especially in mecha stuff. Like, I think it was like right after Code Geass, a lot of mecha anime just started using 3D models for the mecha, and it looked awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tended to avoid those despite my penchant for loving mecha stuff.
Yeah.
But you can tell they put a lot of effort and a lot of love in this one because again, a lot of the major plot points to any Godzilla film, but especially this one, is the whole mankind versus mankind's demons in the form of what they've done to Mother Nature. So when they return to planet Earth, nature has totally taken over. There's definitely a scene where they're like walking through ancient that are just the building themselves have disintegrated, but there's been like coral that has grown over them, and so the coral retains the shape of buildings that are literally no longer there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but so like during that scene in particular, but a few of the other scenes, you can see how much effort and energy and love that they put into really making the environment just look perfect, like just look gorgeous, look right, and the animation doesn't feel as janky as CG animation can.
Yeah. If you're going to see an
that made me
anime
happy.
movie, you got to get your Sakuga. Like they're not going to. Anime movies always usually just look good.
Yep.
So, all right, man, that's cool. I'll probably check it out eventually. We'll see. I gotta.
It's only 88 minutes, so
Yeah,
it's only 3
I
hours.
only
I feel
just
like.
now watched Samurai Jack last season finally, so it's like my backlog on everything is so big. All right, let's get into my topic. I want to talk about me and my buddies went out and ate Thai food last night. It was probably a bad idea after being sick all week, but hey, what are you gonna do? And we're talking about just role-playing games in general, tabletop role-playing games, to be more specific. And this always comes up in like chats for the online games we play and stuff. People always talk about, oh, I love this game, I love this game, I'm a big fan of this, I play this, blah, 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 I don't like this system, I wish this was like this, etc., etc. So we were kind of talking about some of the games like we'd heard of and thought sounded interesting or never got a chance to play that it seems like everyone talks about. So I kind of just wanted to have like ask you guys what you thought. Might be like some of the games that you've heard people talk about are very well received and everyone loves them, but you've never got like really a chance to play them or maybe even read through them or look into the mechanics or stuff. Like, what's some stuff you guys would want to potentially try out?
Starfinder. Always and forever, Starfinder.
That's at the top of my list as well.
Okay, well, what's one you know nothing about?
Screw you, Obs.
What's one you know nothing about that you want to like get your hands on the book and read? We can't play Starfinder for another month because one of our players like went out of town for a little bit.
Good.
Yeah, no.
My problem is that whenever I'm interested in something, I just go ahead and pick up the book. Like my rule book library is so huge. So.
All right. Well, what's one other than Starfinder for Tetsuo that you maybe want to like read into?
So I want to go with two because they're in vain. They're just different companies, and that's Heavy Gear and BattleTech.
All right, I know a little bit about BattleTech, but I know nothing about Heavy Gear.
Heavy Gear is similar. The narrative is different, but essentially it's another one of the miniature war games where you're playing giant robots shooting at other giant robots. Goes the mecha games. Who's surprised? But both have RPGs that, while they still have the mech aspect, it's usually focused more on the pilots. And the way that I see them played online is that people get together for the RPG portion, and then they use the miniature war game to play out the in the mech style. And I would love to play a campaign of either one of the two, playing a squad of mech pilots in that way.
Yeah, that's how BattleTech was described to me. One of my buddies used to play it a long time, like I think 10 or 15 or 20 years ago or so. And he loves it and has like the books, has a bunch of the minis. He even has like the Robotech ones or whatever.
That Robotech, and because there was a weird thing, and then they also made an Aerotech series for a while.
And you can kind of like do it because you basically, it's like any mech RPG game probably, it's going to be heavily like customized like what you want in your robot, so you can like play with any kind of rules, like just take the rules and do like any kind of thing that you want to do with it basically.
And that's what the war games, with both of the war games in general, like you can buy the stock mechs or you can create your own. They give you like blank sheets and they tell you how to point out. Now it's very crunchy to create your own mechs, like they really get into it, and there's a lot of consideration that's gone into like points and stuff for balance. Heavy Gear is a little less crunchy, but it also has a little bit less options. You're also not worrying about things like generator output and heat generation that you do in BattleTech. Which, again, if you really want to get into it and you love like having to monitor 6 or 7 different systems while in the middle of a war game, you want to go BattleTech. If you want it a little more simpler, Heavy Gear would be the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But both of their war games actually do stand alone. They're their own games. You don't have to do the RPG with them, or you can use them to represent the mech battles of the RPG. So those are 2 games I've always wanted to play for that reason.
Yeah, we were going to start a BattleTech campaign at one point. The setting seems really interesting too, because you have like great houses and stuff that are on separate planets and all that good stuff. And
sure, if you're a dirty inner sphere.
I think that's what we were. He's like, because none of us knew anything about the setting, so he's like, I want to have y'all be like the low rung, like nobodies who are on basically like the Ronin on like the scavenge planet or whatever. You don't serve anyone. You're kind of like all orphans, like piecing together your like mechs and stuff, and you got like a teacher and stuff that basically taught you how to fight.
That's very common.
Yeah.
for you have these essentially PMCs that just pop up, because it kind of suffers a little bit too from the grandioseness that Warhammer 40K can suffer from.
Mhm.
So, you have all of these planets and all of these systems, and supposedly only so many ruling houses to rule all of them. So, of course, planets are going to fall through the cracks, and their own local PMC, militia, whatever, are going to rise up to defend them. So that happens a lot. In fact, there's a main plot point in it, Wolf's Dragoons, who were initially that and then became something big. Essentially, think Totori's army, but a little bit with less implications, plot implications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of when you have war games, a lot of them nowadays are doing tabletop versions, like role-playing versions, like the War Machine one, which I played.
Yeah.
Which the fighting plays exactly like the war game, basically. So, and it's fun. It's fun to do combat in it and stuff. I don't actually like playing the game, like the war game, but it's fun to RP in the world and see like the super solo unit character guys and interact with them and like all that stuff. So those kind of games are always unique. I think that's like a really interesting design space. It's weird that the Warhammer games are very different and haven't like adapted to that model that I've seen happening.
Yeah, we played
You played
Death Watch once.
Yeah, very briefly.
It was okay, but RPG that was cobbled together to cash in on the success of the war game. That is straight up what it felt like. It wasn't necessarily bad, but
I played the Warhammer Fantasy one. The best part of it is that you roll your character randomly, kind of. It's like a fun, like, I don't care, I just want to, like, play something thing. Because you roll, like, your character's, like, mannerisms, his class, like, gender, how old they are, like, if they're ugly, like, deformities they have and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting.
Literally everything.
Yeah, kind of. It's, like, like, the best class you can get to start out with is, like, guy with the bow, or guy with, like, a spear. Like, I'm, like, a bridge watcher. Or you can get stuff like, I'm a rat catcher, so I might have, like, a little bit more immunity to, like, poison and disease, because I'm around rats all the time. Or I'm, like, a fireman, so I make charcoal and stuff like that, or others. It's really interesting. All right. So, other than Starfinder, what is yours, Mel?
I'm not too sure. Like, for the most part, I've always stuck to like D&D type stuff. So I haven't played a lot of anything other than that. I've always really wanted to play in Shadowrun. I've played the video games, so.
Well, that's one that counts.
Right. Yeah, like Numenera always seemed cool. That new Montecook game. And then like some of the ones like based on other like the Firefly I always thought would have been interesting to play.
That's maybe a good one.
I've seen copies of that around, actually.
Yeah, I just rewatched all of Firefly the other day. So
there you go.
And then like I love Mass Effect, so that could be a cool RPG, but I'd want to run it. Like the DM would have to be someone who really knows their Mass Effect, I would think.
Yeah, like really knows the lore.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have to be something that is more akin to Andromeda than the main trio as well.
I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of lore to take in that someone could make work, I'm sure.
Right.
You could probably do it with Starfinder, like make some stuff up, like some custom classes or stuff for it, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, there is already an RPG.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even know that. What is it that appeals to you about Shadowrun? Is it just cyberpunk in general?
Yeah. Just basically the urban fantasy type stuff I love.
Mm-hmm. Have you watched what's it called yet?
No.
You haven't? The Netflix movie?
No.
It's basically supposed to be just Shadowrun the movie, from what I heard.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, Bright.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember the name of it. I'm sorry. It has Will Smith. It was Max Landis. I've played a decent amount of Shadowrun. I like the game, but my enjoyment of it is going to be different than, cause I'm not like super into Cyberpunk really at all, and my enjoyment from the game was just because we were playing goofy characters that probably didn't really fit like the seriousness that the GM was going for, and he had to kind of deal with it.
Yeah, you've mentioned that before.
Yeah, so I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast or not, but yeah, I don't think like disgraced NASCAR driver and like psychopathic former circus clown dwarf serial killer guy probably fit what most people think of Shadowrun, but they're probably more thinking like I'm like the cyber sleuth, like tech guy, or I want to be a street samurai and be like on the streets of Neo Tokyo or wherever. I can't remember what they call it or whatever, stuff like that.
Yokio? What?
Yeah, Neo Yokio. Or like the Juicer or whatever adepts, and if you played the Shadowrun games and you are familiar with all that terminology, or just like the magic. The coolest thing about Shadowrun is actually making your character, because I mean I've only played the older edition. I don't know if it's like this in the new one at all, but you basically get a B, a C, a D, and an E.
It's still like that.
Yeah,
and video games are like that.
And if you want to be like a cool race, you have to put like your A stat into your race, or you can put in your attributes or your skills, I think, and your resources and your contacts. It's always fun to come up with like the contacts and stuff like that. Were actually some of the more interesting parts.
My big thing about it is just how crunchy it is. Like I want to like it more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like as you say, I had a lot of fun building, because I did one a play by post of it, and I didn't play for very long. Partially because like there was bits that I was okay with, but there's other bits where I was just like, I don't care about this bit on my character sheet because it's just too much numbers, and I just wanna like at some point I feel like I'm looking at a list of numbers and not at a character, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of rules for the game, but yeah,
but I love the setting. I love the idea of it.
Yeah, I'm not as super big in the setting. I just like our goofy characters, but anyways, so I guess for me, I'm going to say it's everything always devolves into World of Darkness. Everyone always talks about it. Everyone's always played like one of the World of Darkness games usually. Like anytime you get in a group of people who tabletop game and everybody starts talking about RPGs. I actually haven't played a lot of World of Darkness games. I've only played Werewolf and Mage. I have not played Vampire. Vampire is probably the biggest one that everyone always talks about. But
yeah,
I don't even really care to play it. There's two from World of Darkness that I always hear people talk about, and it's Changeling and Wraith. And when I always bring this up to my friends, they're always like, those games aren't that good. But I literally, and my tastes are pretty similar to my local group's taste. We generally like to roleplay the same stuff, and that's why we like have kind of like stuck together as a gaming group. And sometimes you'll have that in your local spheres, like people come in or leave or go their own ways. But we have like a pretty solid core, like 4 of us that roleplay, because we all like the same stuff. We all like to roleplay for the same reasons and stuff. So I haven't read anything about the books. I generally like White Wolf stuff, so I might like them more than they would, but I don't know what it is about them that people like, because from what I understand, Wraith is just all about being a ghost in the underworld. So I don't know what like the appeal of it would be. If someone is listening and knows, please comment and let me know like why Wraith is awesome. And Changeling is just about like fairies, and it's really artsy fartsy and like rules a lot. That's what I understand the people like it. I kind of want to read those books eventually.
Changeling is artsy fartsy, or it's all about emotional trauma. Like those, I mean, and I know that World of Darkness is a lot about emotional trauma, but like the whole point of Changeling is how traumatic can I make my like even like the light, very fairy light fairy things are still like emo edgelord. Like it's kind of emo the game. Changeling is.
Gotcha. So maybe that's why people like it.
Yeah.
Like that would almost feel to me more like if people want to be like a bit grimdarky, which I can appreciate, as you well know if you've been listening to this podcast. I love my edgelords and I love some grimdarkness every once in a while. It feels like Vampire would more cover that a little bit because it's all like, I'm undead,
Yeah.
I'm like a political guy in the shadows and stuff.
So Changeling is I'm a human being cast into a world that's similar but not.
Yeah, you were stolen away or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Almost to draw an L5R corollary, they're both similar in the sense that like Vampire is kind of like your Scorpion clan, whereas Changeling is your Crane clan. Like they're both still kind of that political quagmire of you need to know how to manipulate socially or else you're going to die, but the way that they feel and go about it are slightly different. Before it kind of fell apart as I was thinking it through. But,
No, I get what you're saying totally. The metaphor works. Yeah, another game which I think we talked about like last week or a few weeks ago in passing is the WWF role-playing game that's really old that anytime I hear anyone talk about, they're always like, there was a WWF role-playing game from like the early 90s or something, and it was freaking cool as crap. And I just want to like find the book. I'm sure I could like find it on eBay or Amazon or something, but I just want to find the book and read it eventually. Just 'cause apparently like your XP is your fans, which totally makes sense for a wrestling game because theoretically
does that
they're
mean
gonna
you can lose experience points?
the kayfabe of you being like a more powerful wrestler is obviously going to happen if you have more fans. Or how's it work? Like if you're if you're a heel and people don't like you, how do you get more powerful that way?
Well, these days everyone loves heels.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when you got like Roman Reigns and stuff that people don't like, I haven't watched wrestling in a while, so that might not be the case anymore. Mal can speak to that easier.
That was about it.
You got, I think it's like Roman Reigns and John Cena are your faces.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. John Cena's practically always been a face.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns is new Cena, basically.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting to like read through and see what they do. It would be fun for like a one shot to play, probably. So yeah, I just wanted to. Yeah, just wanted to pick your guys' brain, see if there's any games that people talked about a lot. Because I always find it funny to see what people are interesting and not really funny to see what people like about games and like what they like about role playing, what they get out of it, what they look for in games and groups and stuff, and kind of like hear their stories and get sold on games because that's how you like find out about new stuff in general. So, all right, cool. Well, everybody, we're under an hour mark.
Oh,
This is one of the fastest episodes we've had in months. Just wait till you get only two of us on here, and then it'll be a real doozy, right?
we did that once.
Did we do only two people?
Yeah, just me and you.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we did. No, but that was a longer episode, though, wasn't it?
Well, we were just talking about cards, I think.
Okay,
for
yeah,
L5R.
yeah, that's why it was so long. So we're going to hit this under an hour mark. This has been episode 40, Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, now topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Catch us... Oh my god. I'm like botching this all the time at the end for some reason these past few weeks. Check us out on social media, twitter.com/podcast5r, facebook.com/p5r podcast. Check out Meta and Lily streaming. They've been playing Monster Hunter last night. They might play again sometime this week when you're listening to it. They're on twitch.tv/PSOflow. Till next time, guys, we will catch you later.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Final
Daddy
Fantasy
love us.
15, best game.